Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome to another edition of Kal's Corner Radio here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. My name is Kal Korff and I'm your host. The executive producer of the show is, as always, the one and only Rob McConnell. Folks, as I say at the top of every episode, because it's true, I also say that as well, we cover everything on the show from politics to the paranormal. That's a wide variety of subjects. Of course, we don't do that literally on every episode. That's not possible. But today we're going to talk about a little bit of both. That is, first of all, politics and in the international scene, some major news stories, which are both here in the United States and abroad. Then we're going to switch to a very hot topic on the minds of at least the media in the U.S. and actually the global Western media, and in fact, as far as Asia, because I've read these reports, UFOs, unidentified flying objects, or what some people call flying saucers. The anniversary, not coincidentally, of the Kenneth Arnold sighting from 1947, which basically sparked all of this last century, is coming up. And of course, historically, because we live in an anniversary society now, let's be honest and blunt about it, for better or for worse, and I think it's for worse, this bump in coverage would be there regardless. But of course, with the History Channel pumping out their nonsense, and of course the hype and just BS that goes on with that, then of course you've got this convergence of media ignorance and, monkey see, monkey do. We'll get into that a little later in the show. But let's switch to something tangible and real, something that's much more important, something that if something isn't done, and I mean the right things are done, we could have theoretically a global World War III. I'm not trying to scare you, not trying to be melodramatic or any conspiracy-minded thing, but let's be blunt about this issue. I know what I'm talking about when I'm about to share with you because I've reported on it for years and I have firsthand information, as has been a matter of public record for years now on this subject. What I'm talking about is Iran's nuclear bomb program. Now, as everybody knows, there was a war that was almost started, at least a conflict, a military conflict, when Iran shot down a drone. Now, Iran has the right to shoot down a drone that violates its airspace. If Iran sends a drone to the U.S. to violate its airspace, just to take selfies, it's still a violation of international laws. You can't do that. So was American President Donald Trump right to order basically a strike in retaliation for doing this? No, he wasn't right, meaning Iran has the right to defend its airspace. And that's according to the UN Security Council. The United States is a member of that council. And let's say the United States says, oh, no, it doesn't have a right to defend its airspace. Well, China and Russia would veto that decision, as would rest of the UN, because it simply isn't true. Every nation has the right to defend its sovereign airspace. Now, what was this drone doing? Who knows? It wasn't armed, it seems. We don't know. There is footage of, at least images of it supposedly, spiraling out of control, and it's kind of delta wing shaped and so on. And no, it's not, some knockoff of some Horton captured UFO, prototype thing that was retrieved after World War II by the Russians, sent to Stalin, given to Joseph Mengele to fake the Roswell incident nonsense. Anyway, some people are saying it's a false flag thing. They said that about the previous few days when there was an attack on an oil tanker. Iran denied it because they lie all the time. That's what states that support terrorism will do. That's modus operandi of how they conduct their business, commit their acts of terror, kill people, etc., commit their crimes. And then, gee, there's drone footage. No wonder Iran hates drones, especially when it busts their you-know-what. So guess what happened? It shows Iranians retrieving a mine that didn't detonate. Their bad luck that day. So Iran was busted, and they still deny any involvement. It's ridiculous. And what is the UN doing to stop this? Yeah, that's why I can't explain it, because the answer is nothing. Now, Russia has warned the United States, specifically Trump, to not let things spiral out of control. Of course, Russia legitimately, as well as for its own vested interests, only Russia's interests, specifically Putin's. He wants to leave office as a man firmly in control, to handpick his successor, since he has to have one by law, unless they change the constitution over there again to accommodate him and keep him in power even longer. And of course, who is selling the nuclear reactors, including the second one now being built, to the Iranians? It is, of course, Vladimir Putin. Now, why is this whole mess going on? Why is Iran being even more belligerent than it already is? A lot of people don't know, because CNN just won't tell you, and neither will Rachel Maddow, that there have been thousands of Iranian terrorists, members of Hezbollah and the Republican Guard, faithfully and dutifully and justifiably killed and taken out by Israel over the last 18 months, specifically after Donald Trump came to power. In other words, Israel finally started taking care of long overdue business that should have been done under Barack Obama, had we had a better leader in Barack Obama, foreign policy-wise. We can blame Obama for many problems which still exist today. Probably the biggest problem he helped create, and this is beyond dispute unless you are ignorant and naive, is the rise of ISIS. Okay, now we're not going to go down that tangent. Let's cut back to Iran and Trump. Now, this whole thing is happening because the Iran nuclear deal, which Trump said before he ran for president was always a bad deal, and I agree with him. I agree with him because, as I reported, both in Daily Post newspaper as well as in Daily World magazine, or rather newspaper as well, and also in videos, even on Facebook, wherever I talk about it on this show, the Iranian nuclear deal was a bad deal from the beginning. And you can prove it. So I don't have any patience for these people who just think it was the best thing since sliced whatever. It isn't. It was stupid. It was a surrender. And Iran needs this deal better than the world does. That is called leverage, folks, especially on the international scene. How much you leverage, in what spirit, how you apply it is what ultimately matters. And what Barack Obama did is two major things. He lied to the world about the deal. So did John Kerry, because Kerry won't dare say, anything against Obama. He was Secretary of State at the time. Not only did he lie, but the deal itself was flawed. And Israel had a problem with it, specifically its Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and he is correct. And I'll explain both points in detail, and this will take the rest of this segment and part of the second one. But These are the facts. Now, Barack Obama lied when he said that this was the toughest set of inspections ever done since the program ever existed. Now, he was referring to the Atoms for Peace program, under which the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, or NPT, is the umbrella agreement which covers that. Under the Atoms for Peace program, which was created by Eisenhower, any country that pledges not to make nuclear weapons or weaponize nuclear technology is entitled to help, even funding from the West and the international community, to use atoms for peaceful purposes. Duh, hello, that is why the program is named this. Now, when did you hear anyone on CNN tell you this basic key piece of information? I don't remember it, and I follow this stuff all the time. I can't recall Rachel Maddow saying this. In fact, I can't recall any of Barack Obama's supporters and these la-la liberals who apologize for the way Iran just kills people, innocent people. They sponsor terrorism. I just don't understand why they don't explain basic things like this. I have a theory. That theory is that if they did, even more people would tune them out. And that is what has happened since the Mueller thing crashed and burned, not only once but twice now. And you look at the panic going on at CNN, Rachel Maddow's network, MSNBC. It's long overdue, folks. It's called course correction. Even Fox has taken a hit. The American people are saying, screw the polarized networks, and they have a right to feel that way, and they are justified to feel that way. So in the spirit of truth on this network and this show, because we're not going to be political. If we're wrong, we apologize. We learn that way. We retract things that are not true. We don't always get things 1,000,000% right. Nobody does. We don't claim to do that. But we can safely say that, again, Obama lied. The inspections that Saddam Hussein had to endure, which led to a war and his ouster, and ultimately his death by being hanged, were a lot tougher than this. The inspections for Libya were even more pervasive than Saddam, because Libya voluntarily, Gaddafi gave up his weapons after we invaded Iraq. His sons convinced him to do it and said, if you don't think Bush is going to come after you next, you are crazy. Gaddafi coughed up everything, destroyed his own massive chemical weapons underground facility. And then he let everybody in there to check it out. And the U.S. and U.K., led by Tony Blair as the main intermediary, secretly disarmed him. Well, did that happen with Iran? No, because they don't allow any Americans at the inspected sites. And of those sites that can be inspected, they don't allow the facilities to be inspected where weapons, warhead, miniaturization tests were successfully conducted. We know that because Mossad stole their nuclear archive. They've got the original files. They're in Jerusalem. Benjamin Netanyahu showed them. So again, this is an open and shut case. Only a moron would not understand this, but you wouldn't know that watching most of the media coverage of this issue. All right, we'll be back after this commercial break, and we'll get into a little more detail, and wait till I go into further depth of how Obama lied.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Welcome back to the second segment here on Cal's Corner Radio, here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. My name is Kal Korff. I'm your host, and the executive producer of the show is Rob McConnell. Now, we were talking in the first part of the show, in the last segment, about the Iran nuclear deal and how former American President Barack Obama, love him or hate him, whatever you feel, doesn't matter, is never going to change the fact that he outright lied to the world, along with John Kerry, of course, about the Iran nuclear deal in several key areas. He shouldn't have lied at all, let's be clear. And while some may say, well, that's kind of harsh to say that Obama lied, you're too quick to accuse him of that. Maybe he misspoke. Maybe he exaggerated. Maybe he didn't really understand the full terms of the agreement. Well, really, he's the one who signed it. Kerry negotiated it. Presumably everything was worked out before he opened his mouth. And if he didn't know the full details of what he was really agreeing to, then he's not worthy of being president of the United States. Sorry, you can't worm out of this. It is binary, as in black and white, as are most of the important things in life and in existence, as far as I can see in my short life. So let's again recap what I just said near the end of the first segment. He said that these were the toughest inspections ever imposed under the terms of the NPT. Well, not according to people who know history. These aren't even close, because Iran wouldn't allow Americans to inspect anything. They're not allowed. They are forbidden because, Americans are the great Satan. Now, one can say, well, no, Jews are allowed too, but hey, we understand that because Iran openly hates Jews, at least Israel. Now, they say they don't hate Jews, wink, wink. That's, of course, why 95% of them have left Iran since Ayatollah Khomeini took over. Just coincidence, right, folks? And, of course, they have the death to Israel. Otherwise, they call Jerusalem Day, as in Jerusalem Liberation Day. It's a national holiday where they celebrate Holocaust Denial Day once a year. It's a big parade. Hezbollah, you can Google all this. Just Google Jerusalem Day, where they say they're going to liberate Jerusalem and drive the Jews into the sea. Gee, that's how you liberate people, right? You just drive the occupants into the sea. And they can consider the Jews to be occupants of their own land. It's like the Palestinians. They want Israel to exist as a district in a Arab-controlled country called Palestine. Ain't going to happen. So, getting back to Iran, we know their true nature. And another problem that proves that Obama lied is when he said that, again, not only were these the most comprehensive inspections, but he even said there were snap inspections. Now, a snap inspections, for those who don't understand what that term means, and you'd be surprised how many don't, means I can literally say, hey, I'm here, show me your stuff now. You can't say no. You're in trouble if you do. I'm going to report you to the UN Security Council, the IAEA, and I'm going to report it as a violation or a complaint. And a whole bunch of heat's going to come down on you. You can't do this. You've agreed not to do it. You've agreed to allow snap inspections. In fact, with Iraq, because it was a more comprehensive inspection regime that went on, they had inspectors on the ground 24/7. That isn't the case in Iran. Now, no snap inspections. There's none in there. But Obama lied and said there were. Well, a snap inspection, again, is I want it now. A snap inspection is not I want to see you next Thursday. No. And the terms of the agreement, as Obama and Kerry negotiated them supposedly on behalf of the safety and security of the rest of the free world, who knows if they cared about the safety and security of China or Russia or other countries that are dictatorships. We never really heard them talk about that, of course, because that would require leadership. But don't get me started there. Back to the point. Again, no snap inspections, but he said it. Just like he said over 30 times, if you love your healthcare plan, you can keep it, and your doctor, nobody will take it away from you, no how, no way. That was never true, and he knew it. It was a lie. In fact, thank God for Politico for once. They actually called it Lie of the Year, as did Washington Post in their fact checker, and they're right. It was Lie of the Year. And yet there are still people I know today, God bless them, who say he didn't lie, he just misspoke, or insert excuse there. No, he lied, just like no snap inspections. Now here's another area where he lied. He said there's video surveillance. Well, you know, as usual with Obama, as I've said in countless articles, and I've written hundreds of them over the years on this guy, I said the real truth lies in what he doesn't say too often. So what did Obama not say that he should have told you? Oh yeah, the video monitoring isn't live. Well, folks, it's not live. And no, it's not delayed by 3 or 30 seconds either. It's actually delayed by 30 days. 26 actually. So let's say Iran does something they shouldn't. It gets captured on video. And let's say they don't take the video and edit it nor alter it. They actually let the video that they know busted them go to the UN Security Council, or at least the International Atomic Energy Agency, overseen again by the UN. So what happens? Well, some guys look at it and say, hey, you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, whatever it is. All right, they say, well, you know, Iran, we need to check this out now because, you know, we got some suspicious stuff here. So they contact Iran and they say, hey, look at this. Iran says, okay, come on this date. Okay, so they make a lunch date or whatever you want, an inspection date. They show up, and Iran can either say, we changed our mind, come back 3 more days. It's up to them. Or Iran can say, you know, we're just too busy to deal with you. We didn't do anything. You're wrong. Go buck somebody else. Okay? Now, what would the UN Security Council do, or the IAEA at that point do? Well, they'll do what they've done on more than one occasion. And I know this from firsthand experience because when I was in India, before I left India to travel to Europe, what happened is, as I told people on Facebook and colleagues of mine, I'd received information that Iran was not going to be stamped as being certified in compliance with the terms of the nuclear deal. The IAEA in Vienna, which is in Europe, hello, and of course it's in Austria, which is a country right next to the Czech Republic, for most Americans who don't know that. I'm not being condescending when I say that. Having been to 27 countries, it's been my experience that, God bless my American colleagues, but of all the nations I've been to, this country, America, and I'm an American, they seem to know geography the least. And as George Carlin said a long time ago, Americans tend to learn geography when they drop bombs. Ooh, okay. All right, so back to the point about Iran. What happened is Iran could say, no, we don't, want to cooperate here. So 30 days could go by. And then if Iran still doesn't say yes, now this is 60 days total, they can take it to a committee of 8 people, represented by 8 different, more than 8 nations, and 8 of them have to agree on a consensus as what to do with Iran. No, Iran, you're in violation. It's going to go down as a violation. You need to let us in or else. And Iran can still say no and then walk away from the deal without any penalties. That's literally what they can do. So I found out when I was in Europe, I want to finish that story. When I was in the Czech Republic, I verified that the IAEA did certify that they couldn't claim that Iran was in full compliance with the agreement. And this has been my complaint from day one, and this has been always the complaint in not only my reporting, but of Netanyahu and Trump, and a lot of people, I think, who think critically about the Iran agreement. The idea is to prevent Iran from making a nuclear bomb. The way you do it is you destroy that capability, or you lock things down so much that even if they had that capability, it's not going to be possible. The United States, for example, has the ability to make nukes, but it can be prevented from doing so if it agrees not to make them. Any country can do that. Now, Iran is a signatory to the NPT. The moment that they violate those terms, which means starting to enrich uranium like they threaten to do now in a matter of days, if a deal isn't cut, they're threatening the world now in the interest of peace, right? Because they say they only want to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes, but if you don't let them have their way, which is preserve the ability to make a bomb whenever they want to, and continue to essentially pay them to stay within the law of an agreement and a treaty that they voluntarily signed called the NPT. Do you see how this is just so convoluted? I mean, let's use a very accurate analogy here, folks. It's illegal to rob a bank. So guess what? I'm going to sign a treaty that says I'll never rob a bank. And I'll go to B of A, Bank of America, and I'll say, hey, now that I've signed an agreement with you never to rob you, pay me money, and I'll make sure I stick to that agreement. If you don't do that, I just will start, picking away at your branches, and you've got thousands of them around the world. Yeah, see, that's what Iran is doing. So they start attacking the shipping lanes, even though it's in their best interest not to do that. Remember when they did that last time when Reagan was president, and let's be blunt, Reagan was a lot sharper individual, let's just put it that way, than President Trump is in handling foreign affairs. Reagan essentially broke the Soviet Union and ended the Cold War. Donald Trump is not going to end North Korea. He's not going to end Chinese communism. Russia's going to continue being Russia for however long, till after Putin has passed away or out of office or whatever. So if you look at the differences there, he brought in the U.S. Navy to escort those ships, and Iran had to back off. There's footage you can see in the news, in Google, in YouTube, about floating Iranian mines. They were trying to sink the ships. Iran has done it before. It's nothing new. So when we come back on the third segment, I'll finish this up. We'll be back after this break.
How would your life change if you could develop the business and personal skills that you need in order to make more money? Do you want to learn how to achieve your big life goals faster? Then go to findhiddenmoney.com and get the Goal for It online course. The course teaches you how you can set and achieve your biggest goals while completely overcoming the roadblocks to your goals so that you can realize your dreams and imagine more success. Go to findhiddenmoney.com.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hyde's life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Welcome to the third segment here on Cal's Corner Radio on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Once again, my name is Kal Korff. I'm your host, and the executive producer of the show is Rob McConnell. Now let's wind up Iran in this segment. I've already mentioned for the leading up to this point in the show, the main points proving that Barack Obama lied. Again, to recap for those who love to play skipping through the show, again, he said there were snap inspections. Nope. They never were. How somebody could mess that little important detail up that changes everything, you'd have to ask Obama. And of course, he's been asked that question and he just won't tell the truth. Just like he won't admit he lied when he said that you could keep your health care plan if you wanted it. Nobody would take it away from you. No how, no way, quote unquote. He lied, but he won't say that. Instead, he says, I should have done a better job, blah, blah, blah. No, you lied. Okay, now it is not live video monitoring. So when he says there's video monitoring, BFD, it has to be live or it's useless. This was an issue with North Korea. In front of the live feed, they made a point to break the seals and get into the fuel rods. And then guess what happened? They made nukes. Now, Americans are not allowed as part of the inspection team. So this was supposed to be the most comprehensive set of inspections ever negotiated? No. Not even close. And, of course, you're not allowed to inspect past facilities that they know for a fact were used to conduct weapons experiments to make nuclear warheads, specifically miniaturizing them so that they could fit on the existing arsenal of Iran's missiles. Rockets, because nukes are useless without a delivery mechanism. If you can't get them anywhere in the neighborhood of what you want to destroy, how's it going to work? And of course, Iran and some of their radical terrorists dream of losing control of some nuke or deadly WMD, and it just happens to fall in the hands of one of those terrorists. Wink, wink. We didn't have anything to do with it. Ends up somewhere in Israel. They'd love that. And Iran, of course, has always pursued a military strategy of having a policy where they intend to overwhelm Israel with thousands of missiles. Now, right now, they have about 1,000 missiles that can reach Israel. If they were to launch all of them, it would wipe out cities like Tel Aviv. But Israel is an undeclared nuclear power. And this is where people who attack Israel over its nuclear weapons program, I'm sorry, you're clueless. You're in denial. You are a denier. And just ask Al Gore. That's evil and bad. What you're not recognizing is basic logic 101. When you agree to sign the NPT, you can look up what its initials mean once again if you forget. You can even look up the terms of it. I don't care. It's not going to change the reality that you agree not to make nukes in exchange for all the help you want in the world, including loans to go nuclear, for the benefit of your country, not for the worsening of it or making the world more unstable. And if you dare break that, and you voluntarily sign that agreement, well, then the UN Security Council can even vote to remove you, which means declare war. Just ask Saddam Hussein. Now, unfortunately, in the present situation, although I would spell it with a H after the S instead of situation, we have a fact that the UN Security Council is really a joke. It doesn't do its job. It needs to be replaced with something that works. It hasn't worked for many years now because Communist China and Russia, the two pillar nations of fairness, equality, justice, and freedom in the world, they'll just say, hey, screw you, America. We don't care. Doesn't matter what Iran does. We're not going to let you punish them because we're making money off of them. Do you know how much money China makes off from the war in Iraq? Iraq is not America's largest oil supplier. So those morons who claim that the war was started to get Iraq's oil, no. Saudi Wahhabia, another country we can have another show about, at least one, they're just as bad as Iran, but on the Sunni side of things. And yes, they sponsor terrorism too. But hey, there are terrorist sponsoring guys, so it's okay as long as they don't attack us. 9/11 wasn't cool, but hey, as long as they attack Iran, they're good guys. Yeah, well, it's not that simple, but that's the stupidity of our foreign policy. And we can thank Democrat Franklin Delano Roosevelt for that, because during World War II, in his infinite wisdom, he cut a deal with Ibrahim Saud, the founder of modern Saudi Wahhabia, and he said, basically, you can do anything you want. Doesn't matter, we'll even back you. The British also will back you. We love you. We just need your oil. And Ibrahim's like, hey, this is a good deal. I'm going to have modern technology, airplanes, cannons, and I can just eliminate my opponents. And he did. The Hashemites, who now run Jordan, they were kicked out of Mecca and Medina because Ibrahim Saud, with his Wahhabi warriors and with full American backing, wink, wink, and of course the British, they just took it over. So as a sop, they gave Jordan, what used to be called Transjordan, to the Hashemites and said, well, take it or leave it, because they were dividing up the Middle East between the British and the French. The French, of course, had Jordan. They had Lebanon, and, of course, Palestine, which was never a country, ever, period. It still isn't. And if they don't change their ways, it never will be, and that is a deserved fate. That's, again, another show. So, again, you have in there Iran messing with things. They're working with Hamas. They're destabilizing everything. They're trying to attack Israel through the Golan Heights. Now it's been annexed by Israel. There's even an area now named Trump Square. You got to love the irony there. And, of course, this just makes Iran even more upset. And now they're pushing the envelope. They think they can, damage tankers and try to avoid really killing anybody and just spill some oil and threaten the world, and the world will come running and kiss their you-know-what. Well, Iran has a right to think that way because they have in the past, led by Barack Obama and his lapdog at the time, person I have called a sock puppet because he was when he was Secretary of State, John Kerry. Remember Barack Obama, as I end this segment about him, promising that if weapons of mass destruction were used in Syria, that was a red line? Well, as I've said before, Obama drew his red lines in either disappearing ink or crayons or erasable ink, whatever. The point is, it was a bluff. It was never serious. And then Obama says, well, no one would support me. Since when does the United States, as the world's only superpower, need the support of the rest of the world to do what's right? Instead, was it right to let this dictator of Syria get away with using chemical weapons against his own people? While Russia says, oh, no, that was just a setup by the West. It's a frame. Wink, wink. No, Russia has played that game before because they support Assad, just like Iran does. So what kind of leadership was it to do nothing? Well, remember, John Kerry said, look it up on YouTube, Syria has now been disarmed. They promised they've destroyed all their WMDs and they'll never use it again. Or if they do, they'll face the consequences. Well, it didn't happen for the rest of Obama's presidency. And it didn't happen at first when Trump took over. But when they kept doing it, Trump struck back, only to be condemned as being too mean against, or too provocative against, Assad. We live in such a sick society today where a criminal can commit a crime and suddenly it's the victim's fault. And this type of stupidity, at least in my short life, I've started to see creep into society along with this issue of being politically correct and all that other stuff, when what people need to do instead is think critically instead of stupidly and ask simple questions regardless of what you are trying to understand of who, what, where, why, when, how. The irony of today, folks, and think about this. Most of the world has a smartphone now. Most of the world is online. And that's even accounting for the billions of fraudulent Facebook accounts, which Facebook has deleted billions of phony accounts, leaving still billions of real accounts. Most of the planet is wired and is not going to go back the other direction unless we destroy ourselves. So guess what's going to happen? the means to communicate will only become greater. They're so great now that there is absolutely no excuse as to why we don't communicate clearly. What is the excuse? Oh, I didn't get your emoji. Okay, how about my SMS? No, how about my email? How about my friggin' phone call? What amazes me, the difference between Americans, for example, as a fellow American, and everybody else outside America is, outside America, I'm used to contacting people on the phone. The old school. And yes, they happen to have an email address, whatever, and I use whatever depending on what I need to do. But in America, man, if you got someone's private private mobile number, you're hot stuff. You're the elite few. It's ridiculous. Here, I can reach them faster by Facebook Messenger, send them on whatever on Skype, chat live on, FaceTime, but can't have their private, mobile number, even though I can use their email address, or if I have their mobile number, to see them real time on FaceTime. It's just ridiculous. It's way over engineered. So why is it around the world that we have all these record ways of communicating, and yet everyone is record ways of being polarized and just don't think critically? You would think with all this information, we'd finally understand things, finally reach this huge, enormous, transformational point, and we have fake news. It is just ridiculous. So in the spirit of trying to sort stuff out, we're going to devote the rest of this to telling you what's going to happen. The anniversary of Kenneth Arnold is coming up, UFOs, and I'll tell you how that impacts things. We'll be back.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
Christopher Fulton is a survivor of the national security state. All he wanted to do was preserve history when he acquired a Cartier watch from the estate of President Kennedy's personal secretary. But that simple act set off a terrible chain reaction. He was pursued by the U.S. Justice Department and the FBI, thrust into the middle of the U.S. government's Assassination Records Review Board, even monitored and pursued by the Russian government. All because that Cartier watch was the missing link of evidence, a timepiece worn by JFK that fateful day in Dallas, a link resulting in Christopher being incarcerated and attacked for 9 years years because he opened a hidden chapter in history. The intriguing journey outlined fully in Christopher Fulton's memoir, The Inheritance, is available now through TrineDay.com or Amazon.com. The Inheritance, Poisoned Fruit of JFK's Assassination by Christopher and Michelle Fulton is a must-read, an incredible tale of how easily our own government can overrule justice. The Inheritance, Poisoned Fruit of JFK's Assassination.
Welcome back to the fourth and final segment here on Kal's Corner Radio on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. My name is Kal Korff. I'm your host, and the executive producer of the show is Rob McConnell. Now, as we end the show here with this last segment, we've talked about the need to think critically. We've used the Iranian nuclear deal as a shining example of when people don't think critically, and when, unfortunately, leaders and ex-presidents at the time outright lie. Now we have tension in the Middle East between Iran, which is a belligerent nation, whether they still have the deal intact or not, and then Trump, of course, has made no secret that the regime needs to go, and that is the feeling of most Iranians, actually. So where's the problem, folks? That's another show. Now, the anniversary, switching subjects, but it harkens back to the lesson of thinking critically here. But on a much more convoluted subject, the Iranian deal is pretty straightforward. If it is allowed to happen again, Iran will not have its ability to make nukes eliminated. The problem will be kicked down the road some 10 years, and the world isn't safer. The fuse is just a bit longer. The problem hasn't gone away, and it wasn't a coincidence that Obama kicked the can down the road 10 years because the grand plan was to have Hillary get elected. She was waiting for a coronation, remember? It was a 96% certainty she'd win. 94%. And then, of course, 2 terms, but didn't even happen. Obama's greatest legacy is Donald Trump. Let's be blunt. All right, let's switch to UFOs, unidentified flying objects, what some people call flying saucers. Unfortunately, because we live, at least in America, in an anniversary society, that's a wonderful feature of modern Western culture, I think led by America and the Hollywood plastic culture that dominates Hollywood, and much of TV and the entertainment industry, let's be blunt. Okay, you're there to entertain people. Fine. People are pretty smart, generally, about separating fact from fiction. Overall meaning, most people, when they drive a car, they don't run out of gas. Most people. Some do, for whatever reason. Others just forget about it and space it out, and it's their own fault. But most people don't. They're smart enough and organized enough to go from station to station as they need to and keep going about their journey, just like most people are pretty much on time every day at work, so on. So there's hope, folks. Now, when we talk about UFOs, all logic goes out the window. And the reason why, and I've seen this, I'll give you 2 very contrasting examples. In the United States, I've seen highly educated people who are really experts in their field of whatever they got their degree in. But when it comes to trying to understand a simple UFO case, one where it's obviously not aliens from Zeta Ridiculous, they just can't understand it. Because to them, they have the fever. Or it's a religion and they don't want to agree because their ego or whatever they think they are allows them to do it. And I'm not going to speak for such types. Let them speak for themselves, even though they run their own argument into the ground, because there's no excuse. So there is a term called ufology, and ufology is the scientific study of UFO reports, period. It's a simple, beautiful, straightforward explanation. I made it up myself when I was in high school. Thank you, Stanton Friedman. And to me, that's what it is. And he said, yeah, you're right. Okay, fine. Got it right. Understand the message. The scientific study of UFO reports. Now, people might say, well, BFD, I knew that. Well, if you did, then why do you endorse hoaxes? Why are you so unobjective and don't think critically that you get fooled by these right-click researchers on the internet who just, they're beyond stupid. I'm sorry. Some of them. Well, actually, a lot of them. Huge numbers of them, actually, and we'll go over this over time. It's more than one show, I promise you. It's actually a series for years. One should live so long to deal with it. All right, so what do you do? Well, there's a key word in here that everybody misses. Reports, UFO reports. See, we don't study UFOs. They won't cooperate for whatever reason, okay? So what do you study? You study people's stories. Yeah, I saw this UFO, and this guy looked like a lizard, and he was this tall, and he stole my tent. Whatever the story is. Insert Sasquatch, same thing. Oh yeah, and he left these 3 footprints. I don't know where the other ones went. Well, he's probably tired, working the hand stamper in the ground with his arm. As we found out in investigating the Patterson case, Roger Patterson, to fake those Bigfoot footprints, used a foot made out of cement. That's pretty heavy, folks. And Patterson was a midget, so to speak. He was a very short guy, barely over 5 foot tall. Okay, back to the issue of definition of ufology. It is a scientific study of UFO reports. Don't tell people I study UFOs. Oh, really? You're special. Okay. Well, what did they tell you? No, you study UFO reports. And if you don't make that distinction, shut up. Because everything that comes out of your mouth after that is wrong because your whole premise was never right. And no matter what the truth is, you can't build a valid argument when you base it on a falsehood. It's like the word debunker. Today, I engaged a guy who calls himself UFO Jesus on Twitter. And I've engaged this guy a few times. The first question I asked him was, why do you call yourself UFO Jesus? I wanted to know, does he think he's Christ? And he's got the whatever, because I can't understand what a UFO Jesus would be. Or is he somebody from Mexico with the name Jesus, which means Jesus? It's Spanish for Jesus. I want to know. I'm that kind of guy. Well, he tells me that somebody called him that, and he likes the name and thinks it's cool, and he's one of these disclosure types. And I keep telling this guy, who's a young guy, and yeah, I guess if you believe that Jesus was white and had a beard and long hair, this guy looks like Jesus. Of course, we know Jesus didn't look that way. Jesus wasn't white with blue eyes. This guy doesn't have blue eyes. He has brown eyes. Anyway, back to UFO Jesus. He's a disclosure type. And I had to tell him the disclosure thing was made up by Jamie Shandera. He and Bill Moore, and I know this because Bill Moore told me when they tried to recruit me, thanks to Richard Doty, into their aviary, and I said no, and I exposed it, wrote about it in the 90s. It's a matter of public record, and now it's come full circle. And guess what happened? They said they got it from the Falcon and the Snowman. And I told Bill Moore, well, I haven't seen the movie. I've heard of it, but I understand now why they're using the names of birds. And that's what Shandera said. I made it up. Well, what about the words made it up? I made it up. Don't you understand, Mr. Ufologist who investigates UFOs? No, you investigate reports. So if it was made up, there's no disclosure because it never happened. It was made up. It's about as clear as the words made in China. I have yet to understand anybody who would say, I don't know, maybe they meant Argentina. See, that's how conspiracy nuts think. No matter what you do, they've got a parry, and they're just full of it, okay? And not things positive. Now, what about the other word, ufology? It's a real word, and my definition of it, and again, I thought this up, same conversation with Stan, ufology is when you say things about UFOs that are not derivable from the facts. I'll give you a real example that so many UFO researchers make because they're studying UFOs, not UFO reports. Somebody will say, well, I saw a UFO. Okay, sir, what did the flying saucer look like? Well, it was a round ball of light, okay? And, how big was the disc? Well, he didn't say it was a disc. And you're asking a leading question. If you were in a court of law, the other side would object and the judge would hold you up. And if you didn't stop that game, he'd fine you and hold you in contempt. And if you kept continuing, put your ass in jail. Well, we don't do that in UFO-dumb because UFO-dumb can be spelled two ways, UFO-DOM or UFO-DUMB. And there's a lot of that when you have ufology. Ufology is when you say things about UFOs that are not derivable from the data. The Hill case is a perfect example. If they really drew an alien star map and the fish work was correct, it wasn't Zeta Reticuli and most of the stars on that map. We know better now because we have better, more accurate technical data. And as we showed and proved in the current issue of the X Chronicles newsletter, there's the expose of documents from the 70s proving that even Stanton Friedman knew the fish map was no longer the best thing out there since sliced, alien autopsy? I don't know. And the whole thing fell apart. But if he'd done that, would have impacted him financially and whatever else wise. And that's unfortunate because his legacy is defined by the fact that the greatest cases he endorsed as a rule that made him the world famous icon in the field that he was, saying never be an apologist, ufologist. Fine, that's a nice rhyme, but it's empty rhetoric, like Cosmic Watergate. Well, even as he said, he told me one time Watergate was a political problem. So I said to him, well, UFOs are our national security problem. First and foremost, duh, if they're aliens, even if they're Russians or Chinese Tic Tacs, it's a national security issue first and foremost. Politics is secondary. Safety, security first. Hello. Why do you say Watergate? Watergate was not a security problem. It was a political problem. So the whole stupid Cosmic Watergate, as Bob Todd and I would later say, it was Cosmic Watermelon. And that's why I helped him with the newsletter, The Cosmic Watermelon, exposing some of Friedman's nonsense and myths about the Cutler Twining memo. So as we go forward, Rob and I will be co-hosting the show, Ufology or Ufology. We will take no prisoners, alive or dead. We will go over UFO data, tell you whether thumbs up ufology or thumbs down ufology, or we don't know, the thumbs are horizontal. We're going to try to find out. We're going to separate fact from fiction. We'll be back next week for another episode of Cal's Corner. Thanks for joining me.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie, natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Eli Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games,
No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand, live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.